Republican Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis of New York, member of the Ways and Means Committee, joins me now. I got to, first of all, just call out, first of all, the governor of Illinois, talking about how Illinois is not in the top of crime. I mean, Chicago, hello. I mean, Chicago is the #1 homicide rate city in all of the country. And just this weekend alone, 52 people shot, 7 people killed. So obviously, Democratic cities are the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the left-wing radical policies of the Democrats, whether it is Chicago or New York City. Kathy Hochul refuses to fix the bail law that Andrew Cuomo brought us. Our mayor has, in many ways, tied the hands of the NYPD when it relates to sanctuary policies of Bill de Blasio that he refuses to change. And these are policies that they put forward. They can easily reverse it. Now, President Trump is trying to help, and here you have Democrats that are actually refusing his assistance. It is as if they don't care about the public safety of their own citizens. And then Kathy Hochul's also touting the fact that shoplifting is down 12% in our state here in New York. And why is that? It is because President Trump deported the gangs that were conducting these horrible schemes all across the city of New York, and she's trying to take credit for his work. So you can't have it both ways. And I urge these Democrats to work with the president, who is actually trying to help bring down crime in our communities and protect Americans.
Yeah, you just heard J.B. Pritzker basically complain about the fact that the president has no right to bring in the National Guard because he didn't ask for it. Yeah, typically when there's a state of emergency, the National Guard is only brought in when the governor asks for it because they declare a state of emergency. I would say that the United States is in a state of emergency when it comes to crime rates. And in fact, some Democratic governors are actually picking up onto it. Axios has this headline that the Democratic governor, who's already called in the National Guard, talking about New Mexico, and I'll read it for you. New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham's move in April helped cut homicides in Albuquerque by 24% in the first half of the year, under an agreement with the city. 60 to 70 National Guard members help Albuquerque police with non-law enforcement duties, such as securing crime scenes, operating drones, traffic control, and booking suspects. So there you go. Oh, and by the way, booking suspects. Isn't that refreshing to hear that they're actually booking and sending them to jail instead of letting them back out on the streets? What say you as far as the National Guard having to step in?
Look, President Trump made a commitment to the American people that he was going to make our city and our nation safe. And if the Democrats who run these cities and states are not going to cooperate, and they refuse to fix laws like New York's ridiculous bail law that releases people, despite hundreds of arrests, back onto the streets. The top 4 individuals that committed shoplifting crimes in New York, guess what? They had a combined 800 arrests, just those 4 individuals. We had a 94-year-old woman who was pummeled by a maniac on the streets who had been arrested nearly 250 times, but was being released over and over and over again because of these left-wing policies. So President Trump is doing what he needs to do to keep our communities safe. And guess what? If they don't want President Trump inserting and trying to protect the American people, then they should actually reverse the policies that have created these crimes, that have created this really unsafe aspect of quality of life. The governor also, I should point out, did put the National Guard in our subway system. So while the mayor and the governor are now criticizing the president, they did the same thing in an attempt to keep our subway system safe and to make people feel safe when riding the subway system.
And another reason why crime was at an all-time high for the last 4 years during the Biden administration is because of illegal immigration. And so now you've got Tom Homan essentially saying that ICE operations are up. And if you look at Washington, D.C., since it was federalized, the law enforcement there, crime is down, arrests are up, and detainees are being taken out of the streets and being deported back to their countries. And I'm mainly talking about criminal illegal immigrants here. Let's listen to the border czar, Tom Homan, on ICE operations as it stands.
Operations are ramped up across the country, but you can see a ramp up of operations in Chicago, absolutely. You're going to see a ramp up of operations in New York. You're going to see a ramp up of operations continue in LA. And, Portland, Seattle. I mean, all these sanctuary cities that refuse to work with ICE, where we know public safety threats are being released every day into this country, especially those cities, we're going to address that.
I mean, the mayor of Chicago just said he wants to keep his residents safe. So then why not agree with ICE operations and cracking down on crime?
That's right. 16,000 crimes committed here in New York City by thousands of individuals whose addresses traced back to the migrant shelters that we, the taxpayers, were funding. So essentially what the Democrats did was force us to pay to bring this criminal element to our community. I'm very happy that the president has stepped in here and is focused on New York City to deport those gang members, those drug traffickers, and the other criminals that have wreaked havoc on our city. And since he stepped in, I should point out that there's been a 12% drop in shoplifting because we know that we're these criminal organizations that were conducting these types of crimes. And then the governor goes and tries to take credit for it. What I would say is if the mayor and the governor, they don't want ICE raids in our city, then they should just cooperate to deport the criminals. We don't want ICE raids either, quite frankly. It's not safe for the officers. It's not the best way to go about doing this. They should just turn over the individuals instead of releasing them back onto our streets.
All right. Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis, always great to see you. Thank you very much for joining us on this Labor Day.
Thank you. Happy Labor Day.
You too.
Hey, it's Will Cain. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Cain podcast for full episodes right now.